What New can do in the top lane here, I think even though New, in terms of his laning statistics, haven't been great, he is someone that has a little bit more experience with his tenure on RNG, and maybe we can see a little bit better coordination coming out from this player. So I think that's something that we can sort of hope to see out of them. On the flip side, I do want to see a couple more champions that are more solo carry oriented coming out for Aki. We have been talking about, I think Aki is actually the best carry on OMG. They do run a lot of Talia and sort of Alistar combinations, but I do want to see him on something that doesn't require that much setup. Something like the Olaf is actually great, I think, because he can run down opposing bot laners. We know BLG really likes to have those skirmish-oriented early game focused bot laners, and I think Olaf is a champion that requires a lot less coordination and setup from the rest of your team.
Yep, I think Olaf is one of those 1v5 champions sometimes. If he can go solo, find those undertows, he can get himself pretty well set up, especially with the Ragnarok basically nullifying anyone trying to come in. But the Trundle being picked up here for BLG, an old school counter to the Olaf.
Yeah, this is a very interesting one. We have been seeing a lot of Frostfire Trundles make a resurgence back onto the map. He was buffed recently, so we did see his attack speed being moved back to 30% on just one level of W. Still a great dueler. I would say in the current meta, I feel like he's a little bit too slow of a farmer. If you think about all of the top tier carry sort of junglers out there like Graves, Lilia, and Olaf, and Udyr, they all farm significantly faster than the Trundle. But in this particular matchup against the Olaf, he can take the Olaf 1v1, and I think that's what BLG are going to use him as, just to make sure they track the where Aki is going, make sure he's not able to impact the lanes as much as he wants to.
Yeah, not able to impact it as much as you said. We actually only saw it one other time in the LPL, and it was again against an Olaf. It was, I believe, Karsa picked it up for Top Esports in their win against JDG. I will have to triple check that one if my memory does serve me right. But again, this is something that teams are starting to realize is something that you can pick into the Olaf as a light counter to it. Overall, though, I'm thinking for OMG, you got the Aphelios and the Thresh. You need to make something happen with this. This is something that I always find an interesting little pickup. We've seen Thresh Aphelios picked up quite a lot. It's a very, very safe duo bot lane. But if you're just trying to wait for 34, 4-item Aphelios to 200 years his way into winning the game, it doesn't always work out that way because of the two-item power spikes we see on so many D80 carries nowadays.
Definitely have to agree with you. Fortunately for them, BLG are actually one of the slowest teams in the LPL. They actually had the longest playtime in the LPL. So maybe BLG will let them get to that point. But I do like this from OMG overall. I think what OMG have shown in their past series is just that their top lane counter pick strategy has been pretty unreliable. So I like the idea of just saying, hey, you know what? Maybe we play towards our bot lane. Maybe we just send Aki constantly down there. Olaf is great bot lane ganker, and running up against someone like Misfortune is actually pretty easy to just destroy her in the laning phase. So OMG are saying, our top lane, we're running 4 or 5 different top laners right now. We can't get that settled. We're just going to bank on our bot lane carrying us through the game. I think it's a solid strategy, and it at least gives clarity to the team.
Yep, and we see a little bit of a, as you say, direction, I suppose, for OMG. BLG now banning away the Orianna and the Aatrox, taking away 2 pretty standard and safe picks into those solo lanes. And what do they want to go for now? The Syndra was banned away, the Echo banned away as well by OMG. And right now, BLG, they're going to lock in the Azir. So Zeka getting that very, very safe control mage that scales very nicely into the late game.
Yep, and BLG are setting themselves up for a very strong poke sort of composition. They have great disengage and just a lot of terrain that they can throw up with that pillar and also the Emperor's Divide. Long range coming in from the Misfortune. So I think BLG might be setting up Biubiu to shine here. Biubiu has that Jace pick that has been his best champion so far, and it's being left open on the map. It has a good matchup into the Nara as well. I think OMG has to realize this. Are they willing to just let Biubiu take the Jace here? It's really comfortable for him.
Very, very comfortable pick. The one caveat I'll put onto it, or the one question mark, is your engage is very limited then. You don't really have that kind of same team fight, you know, prowess or potency that you have seen in the last game, as you're kind of just relying on either a massive Shurima shuffle or a solar flare. They are leaning on that a little bit more, but they have got the global pressure of the cannon barrage here now for Biubiu on this Gangplank. Gangplank has just had massive amounts of success and in historical and in the season for LPL teams.
Yeah, we have seen the build come out for game playing. Just the Essence Reaver first, making sure that he can avoid the nerfs to the Triforce, has made him pretty strong into the top side. We are going to have our final drafts coming out. OMG, great scaling, really strong 1-3-1 and teamfight potential coming out from them. They can have Ryze and Nara in the side lanes. They can have the Aphelios and Thresh sit mid. So this is a team composition that if it gets to the late game, it's going to be very, very difficult to stop. In the meantime, we do have, I would say, BLG's compositions is a little bit more about keeping their distance here. They do have a lot of tools to make it very hard for engage to actually happen on the side for OMG. So if OMG, you know, I would say OMG is like a unmovable object. They're a very, very strong fist, but it's going to be very hard for them to actually land this punch against BLG when you're looking at things like the Shurima Shuffle, when you're looking at things like the barrels that you have to walk through. It's basically saying that this is a sort of, BLG is throwing out a team fight, sort of a compositional counter to this scaling comp that OMG has drafted.
Yeah, I feel like looking at the two compositions, you can see very difficult for the side of OMG to get everyone on top of the side of BLG. Should BLG play it correctly, they have a lot of disengage, they have a lot of ways of just delaying you. Trundle Ice Pillar, the Shurima Shuffle, the Cannon Barrage with the barrels. It's just very difficult to get on top of people. But for OMG, if you're able to land that hook, if you're able to land those undertows, that can just open up a hell of a lot of, you know, single target CC from the likes of Wuming, and of course the Gravitum gun on Eric. So there are options here as Biubiu walks away, sees them there, not going to land the undertow, thumbs up, everyone backs away. And you can see again OMG trying to gain some kind of advantage into this top side.
Really good positioning by Biubiu. He's sitting at the furthest edge of that inner tri-brush right there. So once he sees people coming in, moves out immediately, knows that there's a potential for Cold to actually tag him with the Death Sense over the wall. And he gets out very cleanly. You know, a lot of top laners, I feel like they, especially someone like the Shy, will actually go out in lane and try to dance off with you. But Biubiu playing this one safe and avoids all danger.
Do you know what I just realized, Clement?
What?
With the departure of several different casters from the LPL, like Frostgurn and Ryze, we're no longer as stylish as we used to be. I want more style in the LPL. I'm gonna call out ourselves right now. I feel like Ryze and Frostgurn brought such an incredible swag to the LPL, just in their style and their just in general presence. I don't think we have that anymore.
Yeah,
I want it back.
I'll be honest. I've never been a person that really cared about that. I feel like, you know, what you wear is, it's good eye candy. It's definitely very important in the entertainment business which we are in. But I don't know. It's just not me. But you know, I'll try to pick up some pointers if you're willing to give them to me.
I am not the person to ask. that is not my forte either. It just struck me. I was thinking of all the amazing clothes that they wear. I'm still wearing, of course. You saw Frostgurn on the LEC last year, Ryze is on the LCS.
I'll be honest,
I miss it.
I have difficulty naming all the primary colors and stuff like that. So, oh geez, when Frostgurn showed me like the color wheel that she was using, I was like, what the hell is this? I know like red and yellow, but what are the rest of these?
I suppose we have Hysterics. We have Hysterics, and he likes to go a bit bold and brash. But sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a miss. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm gonna call you out a little bit. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, I'm completely sidetracked. If nothing happened in the early game, we just see some slaps going down into the mid lane. Looking down the items and also the, the summoner spells, the ruins, we actually see Halo Blades onto Zeka for the Azir. Not something I'm 100% used to seeing for this champion.
Yeah, it's something that is a little bit stronger in lane trading, but a little bit weaker later on in terms of the team fight. You don't get as much attack speed, and it doesn't last as long for a fully scaled up lethal tempo compared to what's usually brought on the champion. So, you know, he's just looking to get a little bit more control over the lane. He's probably looking at mid-jungle priority for this one. The interesting build I see here is actually aiming going back to the poke-oriented Misfortune. You know, it's been a while since we've seen this one.
Oh, flash from Cold has to be burned straight away. Hook, though, into the tower. That means one extra auto attack. They are maybe getting another one. Yes, they are. We can see now the jungle mid duo trying to fight themselves now into this river. Straight from action to action. Meteor flashes away, but there is no escape from the rampaging Viking. And now Wuming finds Zeka. They're going to land it under toe and see how powerful and potent that extra little bit of slow is. Not only do they lose in the bot side, they lose in the top side as well. A fantastic start for OMG.
Yeah, it's really interesting that OMG actually managed to get both wins. That bot lane, definitely a mistake from Jwei, going a little bit too close to that tower after they've already forced the flash out. But in the mid lane, I think this is just Ryze's crowd control potential winning over what Zeka's kit has to offer right there. You know, Zeka going in just a little bit later there and not being able to join the fight as well. So even though the Trundle was selected as a counter pick, really didn't help out in this 2v1 trade like we saw at the start of this one. Just the Root Prison going down. Couldn't get away.
Yeah, just straight up point and click CC. Nothing really you can do there. I like the patience from Aki as well, recognizing he can not only get the scuttle, but he can also get the kill while using out a lot of the cooldowns here from Meteor. No flash now onto Meteor makes this a very, very difficult champion to try and navigate. You need to be very careful with what you're going for. Aki is here. Biubiu is a little bit overcommitted. He flashes in. Knew is going to flash away, but he dies anyway. And now Aki going to go 1-1 versus the Gangplank. Gangplank doesn't really have a huge amount to go for here. He's trying to dodge. Happy feet, happy feet, happy feet. No, he's off the poop deck now.
He did manage to get away from one undertow, but it wasn't enough. That's still going to be a pretty strong win from Biubiu, and I like the fact that he actually held on to his ultimate right there. I think a lot of Gameplanks would try to use the Cannon Barrage to get away, but he still saved that one just for his bot lane. So well done on that front. He gets the solo win. Wastes a lot of time from the jungler and still keeps the help potential for his bot side.
Yeah, this game a lot more chaotic and actually sees about a 1,500 gold lead here very, very early on as we see Jwei try to go for those Zenith Blades, seeing if he can land out any kind of poke or engage. Still have full summoners on both AD carries, and the Ignite's soon to be coming up for the supports, so we might see some jungle attention here from either Meteor or Aki, or both, as we see the Cannon Barrage used to clear, used to clear this absolutely massive wave up in top side. Like that from Biubiu, like you said, able to keep that cooldown, keeps him from losing any of that CS and getting any kind of pressure from the top side.
That was a pretty smart Cannon Barrage. I knew I was saying that he was keeping it from the bottom side, but if we just look at the map right there, Wuming was actually about to come in from the mid lane. He already roamed to the red buff, so that ultimate basically diffused that play. Or else there was a very high chance that with the Mega Gnar and the Ryze coming in, that they were just going to dive him underneath tower. So well done on that play as well. Biubiu again managed to escape a run-in with death.
Yeah. The Challenger dodge, you don't dodge at all there from the hook. Is it Jwei? Just moving away from the very speedy Boots of Swiftness Thresh. And this is a pretty common build we see from the Thresh of Elio's bot side. You go with the boots, it keeps you pretty damn safe. It's very easy for you to just walk away, get yourself in a better position, and just kind of keep yourself ticking over in this bot side. And for Aiming and Jwei, they are the ones that I feel like they're the ones that are going to want to try and make things happen. They're the ones that are going to be under pressure to make this, you know, almost wombo combo of the bullet time and the solar flare work out for them.
And that's something that I wanted to mention, is that it's actually been a while since we've seen this build come out from Misfortune. Meteor finally ticks over to 6, but he's behind enemy lines, really, really far behind.
Oh, they don't know where he is. The undertow misses, but now he knows he might be in a little bit of trouble. Knocked back into the wall. He does use the subjugate, but it's just not going to be enough. Meteor 0-2 to start this game. Gets himself a blue buff steal, but ends up being donated over to the Gnar. But Cold and Jwei, now that's not, they'll get the cleanse. The ultimate not used just yet from Aiming, still waiting for it, and they still do not have the ultimate on top of the Leona. So a little bit of a trade. They gain a cleanse, they lose an ignite.
Yeah, this is just talking about the jungle. That's why I don't really like the Trundle into Olaf quote-unquote counter pick. you farm very slow, and I don't think the Frostfire build is actually great when you're behind. You run up, you slow someone, and then you die instantly. Typically not super worth it. And we are going to see potentially something like the... just with his build right now, we already see the Phage come out. So potentially he might be going for something a little bit different here. There is a potential for the Gore Drinker coming out. We have seen that on some Trundle jungles. But overall, he's just a very slow farmer and kind of awkward when you are behind. I felt like the old Tiamat was a lot better for Trundle. At least you could keep up with his clear speed if you found some early wins on skirmishes.
The one positive, of course, is a Subjugate stealing those stats and resistances from either the Gnar or the Olaf, especially when the Olaf goes into Ragnarok, just makes the Olaf disappear out of nowhere. It just becomes very difficult for the Olaf to really do anything with that little of resistances. The Misfortune and the Leona should be able to, or the Azir, excuse me, should be able to rip through him. That is a very, very long way down the line. We are still waiting to see what way this game works out before then. We can see now, looking at the 4 kills, pretty much going to see a standard either Stridebreaker or I've completely forgotten the name of the item now. Is all these different new items? What's the other Stridebreaker item?
The other
Gore Drinker?
Hearth.
Oh, the Heart. Yeah, Hearts.
Yeah, it's Triforce, and it's Triforce, and then it's Stridebreaker. Those are the two.
Yes, that's the two. Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was Gore Drinker that built from it.
No, Gore Drinker
looks like he's
Phage.
going towards the Stridebreaker. Yeah, it looks like it's probably going to be going from the Stridebreaker. Thank you, Clement, for educating me in the ways of the item builds.
I got so confused earlier on with the builds in the preseason as well. Definitely a thing. Like you were mentioning, new going for the Stridebreaker. This is something what we've been seeing a lot from our side lane Gnars. It has taken a lot of priority over the... Oh, but never mind. Meteor is actually down 2 levels.
Realm Warp. Yeah, Realm Warp is being used. They use the Cannon Barrage to try and clear the wave, but Biubiu has to pay for the sins of his jungler, and they're going to use that straight away to try and get a bullet time down on this bot side. They don't get any flashes, and the Moonlight Vigil has been used offensively, and they turn it around. OMG picking up 2 more kills, and this is BLG looking like they're running out of answers.
Yeah, that was really weird from BLG's bot lane, just because how much HP they didn't manage to take out of Eric and Cold. They were the ones that started that one, but it turned out really, really poorly for them. All ultimates burned, and honestly, Eric didn't even go below half. He was still sitting pretty right there. It was able to absorb most of the damage, even with the bullet time running down. I want to see how this actually came down. Eric gets tagged, but the shield coming down from the Dark Passage, he's able to burn. He actually doesn't even burn a heal here. He doesn't even have a heal, and he stays that healthy throughout the entire trade. I'm really impressed by... how much lifesteal and survivability Eric has at that point, but that trade really didn't do anything in terms of the burst.
Ooh, that is a bad Rift Herald on the top side for OMG. They did not respect the fact that you can get so much damage and so much wave clear here with the barrels. Biubiu and Meteor do clean that one up there. And this is again the problem you mentioned. The Olaf is now so far ahead of this Trundle. 2 levels is huge in this matchup, and it could be the difference between, like we just saw there, being able to help your top laner and having to leave him and let him go dead to rights. There's nothing you can do there if you're on the side of BLG. Biubiu was just kind of left to go, well, I'm sorry that you brought the jungler to my top side. Now I'm dead.
Yeah, I just think the mythic builds right now for Trundle are actually incredibly awkward. The Frostfire has been the main one we've seen so far in the LPL. There hasn't been that many Trundle games, but the thing about going for Frostfire, even though it helps your clear early, you don't really scale with Frostfire at all. Like, you are an AD warrior. If you build Frostfire, it feels really bad in skirmishes. You actually lose out most of your skirmish 1v1 edge, and that's why you're picked most of the time. You're picked to go up against Olaf. And if you build Frostfire, you don't beat Olaf, which is a huge problem.
No.
If you go Gore Drinker, however, like the build we've seen here from Meteor, when you're behind, you can't actually go for the steal win early. You just lack too much HP, you die so easily, so you have to go for the tanky build, and then it slows your clear down even more. So it feels really bad as a Trundle if you fall behind in your matchup early. Like, the itemizations become extremely awkward, and now Cold is setting up for a play.
Ooh, flash in. Where did that lantern go? They can pop down the bullet time on top of 3 people. They have to go golden as well. There's the cannon barrage, the extra little bit of golden. Oh no, Eric gets completely blast coned. And now Zeka is here. Zeka, does he want to go for anything? He can't. There is the undertow to stop him from advancing, but that was an overforce from OMG. Yes, they traded 1 for 1, but there's no need for that.
That was so not worth it. It was a 1 for 1 plus 3 flashes from the bottom side. I really felt like Cold, if he just threw the Dark Passage to Aki, they would have been able to finish out the kill regardless.
Where did he throw it? I feel like that was a misclick. I feel like that was a misposition on his.
He threw it to Eric.
His part.
He threw it to Eric in order to get Eric an assist gold, but it really wasn't worth it. They could have finished off that play with Aki and held on to their flashes.
Well, little small slivers of hope here for BLG as we start to see some items being finished up. The Essence Reaver for Biubiu, very powerful item, even though it is not a mythic. It feels like it should be a mythic. Gore Drinker here for both the junglers, and we can see the Gale Force versus an Eclipse for Aiming. So Aiming's looking to blow someone up. He's looking to find someone on the sideline and just boop, you're dead.
Yeah, this is much more of like the sort of old school build that we're seeing out here. Actually, a lot of the misfortunes after the Mirror mana changes didn't go for the tier anymore. We actually saw a lot of Gale Force kind of collector builds going in. So this is kind of a throwback, and it really does fit BLG's motto. You know, they play through snowballing bot lanes. However, this game, they're not really getting any snowballing on the board just yet. And Meteor is really, really far behind. So I think BLG, what they're left to do is just all in on the late game scaling of things like the GP and the Azir to carry through them. I think this is going to be a very, very slow game as we continue to see OMG snowball most of the objectives away, and BLG just trying to sit tight underneath their towers.
Yeah, and also as well, this is something that is why we called at the top of the show BLG and Biubiu, you know, consistently inconsistent. They are one of the highest game rates of any team in the LPL. They have 2-1s pretty much, I think, majority of the time. I think most of the time when they lose, they're 0-2s. So it's just one of those things where it's very difficult for them to just keep going with whatever went well in the game 1. They have to try and just throw it away for game 2, it almost feels like. And with Rift Herald being dropped into mid lane, they get that tower with 4 people here. They could maybe go for more. And if they can get in tier 2 off this, that's actually a huge amount of pressure you can put in on top of those jungles on both top and bot side.
Yeah, they're definitely going to get a 2-for-1 tower right here. I love this play going into the mid lane because you have the Realm Warp, so if you're all concentrated in the mid lane, you can instantly go into the side lanes as well. So what we saw here is, even though OMG, they opted to sack their bot lane tower, BLG couldn't continue the trade. They actually had to pull all of their side lane players away because they knew that once the mid lane tower went down, then, you know, the Realm Warp could just go top lane, Biubiu could just be a sitting duck right there, and, you know, they get that 2-for-1 tower trade. So pretty smart objective play with their tools in mind.
Well, we can see Biubiu with that Essence Reaver is already destroying minion waves. So his split push is very much online. The Stride Breaker here for New on this Gnar. He's had a little bit of a quiet game, but has definitely been showing up for his jungler. And Aki, much better performance from him compared to game 1. Game 1, I think he came up 1-5 at the end of it on the Talia, not able to get things going. And like you said, feels so much more comfortable being able to just run at people without much setup with this Olaf.
Yes, I feel like Talia, you just need so much help from your teammates. Even though the kill combination, quote unquote, should be easy to execute, it was still a little bit too hard for OMG. This is much more simpler. You can play 1-3-1, and all Aki has to do is pick a side lane where they do have advantage, just kind of shadow that side of the lane, take away the enemy minion camps, and if you see someone overextended, you just run them down yourself. So, you know, doesn't need a lot of help. It's just more about picking which side of the map you want to play on. And now BLG, they realize they're in a bit of a rut concerning the Drakes. They're going to try and get one back, but that was not the play. I like that flash a lot from Cold. He just wastes a ton of ultimates away from BLG, and they're going to have a solid advantage heading into this one.
They still do have all their summoners and the cannon barrage, so there is still opportunities here for BLG to fight this. Very, very difficult, though. You can see that ward just nuzzled nice and snugly there into the corner of the Dragon Pit, so they'll know when it started. But with Biubiu going topside and everyone backing away, they are going to give over soul point to the side of OMG. OMG will take it with open arms, and I feel like big respect there from BLG. They recognize without the solar flare, without the bullet time, we just don't have the consistent DPS to be able to take a fight here.
And good play from Cold as well. You know, a lot of times it's worth it to recognize when trading your summoners for ultimates is worth it. Like, right before a dragon fight, ultimates actually have a lot more value than the summoners that you hold yourself. So he's able to dodge away from that one. They're on soul point. And BLG are out of scaling options. I don't think Azir is at that position where he's going to feel comfortable. I don't think Biubiu has finished his Immortal Shield Bow just yet. So this Gangplank still has a long way to go before, you know, he really hits that Infinity Edge spike. He's definitely not going to get his 3-item spike before the Dragon Soul actually comes up. So honestly, what BLG are looking at right now is a potential Elder Steal to get themselves back in the game. That's never a position you want to be in, but hey, you know, we've seen LGD do it.
Yep, we've seen LGD do it. We've of course have seen V5 throw away versus EDG. I still feel like there are options here, and this is why I'm not going to write off this game away from BLG just yet, is that OMG haven't looked the greatest at taking games down. They haven't looked the greatest at finishing off what they've started, and they've also been someone who consistently just drags out games needlessly to get to a point where everyone's on full items. If you get to that point, then the game's just about execution. It doesn't matter what you have or, you know, effectively what champions you get. It's about how you play with the champions you have. So for BLG, they can hold out. I feel like there's definitely an opportunity for them there, but we have seen throws in the LPL this season that have happened far quicker and far more unlikely.
Yes, we have seen some really epic fiestas happen. However, I think this game is probably not going to be that, as we see a pretty interesting engage being started by Cold right here. He actually pops the Shirelia battle song. Oh, does force everyone up. That was so a good front coming in from him, actually.
Yeah, beautiful feint there. You can see with the Realm Warp and, of course, the Shirelias. They made it look as if they were pushing in everybody. It stops the tower from going down completely. It is very, very low, so very difficult to keep that one going down. But let's have a look at the rest of the map. You can see BLG, they want to try and get their side lanes. They're picking up these waves, and it's this inactivity that I'm a bit afraid of on the side of OMG. You're still only 3,000 gold ahead, or a little bit above that. That's not a huge amount of gold, especially when it's mostly focused onto someone like the Olaf.
I will say, though, I feel like they're doing okay in this position by just stretching it out because they actually have winning side lanes. This is something that, even though BLG is very hard to engage upon, you can actually just constantly chip them away at their turrets. New is winning in his own lane. Ryze is going to be unrivaled in the side lane against the Azir. Like, the Azir can't really match him in a side lane in that presence. So they can play this out. They can kind of go for the 1-3-1 game. And if they choose to not to and just go all in engage, we do have Cold with the Shirelia battle song. Typically, we have seen Threshes go either for the Locket of the Iron Solari or just go for the battle song when they feel like they have a bit of a lead. And that's what Cold has gone for right now. So, you know, I like what BLG are doing. They're going again for the poke composition, trying to catch someone out. But it's OMG's turn to respond.
Ooh, big move there from the side of BLG. They knock out all two summoners from Eric. No cleanse, no flash for this maybe fight around this dragon in a minute 20.
That was pretty inexcusable for OMG when they have Dark Passage available to actually give up 2 ultimates right there. I just don't think they expected BLG's rotation to come in. That was... honestly, that was not necessary for OMG to give up 2 summoners on Eric.
Yep, 2 summoners. You've now opened up the mid lane as well, so it becomes very difficult to hold this massive amount of vision control you've kind of accumulated for yourself. Minute till Dragon, 3,000 gold lead. Immortal Shield Bow has been finished up here for the Gangplank. You're starting to get a little bit scared here. It's 2 items across the board for pretty much everybody. The only real advantage, like I said, is in that jungle. It's 2 items versus 1.5. The hook lands from Cold. And everyone backs away. 30 seconds. Let's have a quick look at all the different summoners. Pretty much everything available for BLG. They have all the ultimates except for the bot lane ones. They will have the solar flare up very, very shortly, but they're going to try and wait for aiming to have that bullet time. On the other side, you are going to get the Moonlight Vigil very, very soon. This is going to be the key thing. Can they get on top of Eric? If you can take down Eric, a lot of OMG's damage is down. That's the big thing here for BLG. They have position over the dragon, and I feel like OMG, they're going to try and give up this this dragon. I don't think they want to try and fight it.
Yeah, OMG, this is a really weird situation. They need to keep Eric very safe here. They're super worried about the Shurima shuffle coming in from the backside to potentially just kill the Aphelios outright, but they don't have positional advantage here, and I think a better move that they might have been able to make, and we saw on the map, was actually just straight rushing for Baron, because they're a composition where BLG's composition doesn't actually have an easy time running into the opponent either. So if they just force a trade here, like, I don't think BLG actually has a lot of great answers. They might have to... They could do like a fork here, I guess. Basically have Gameplink on the Drake, take Drake while using Cannon Barrage onto the top side. But this is I think this is a much better solution rather than just waiting around the Drake pit while BLG has a much stronger presence.
Baron. It's a very quick Baron. Meteor is here. Can he get in on top of it? No, he can't. He does not get the steal, and he will trade his life for it. Just while he is going down, though, the threat is traded. It's a 1-for-1. There is the Realm Warp. It is only going to send out the Olaf, with now bullet time coming in. The Moonlight Vigil thrown out to dissuade that misfortune. 1-for-1. You stop the Ocean Soul going down for BLG, where OMG get the Baron, and I think they'll be happy with that trade.
They should be very, very pleased with themselves on that one. Honestly, that was very well played by BLG, but unfortunately the Smite Steal just didn't come in for them. If they got that Smite Steal, they would be, they would be from a losing position to an even position. So, that was a 50-50 that if you're BLG, you're willing to take. It wasn't a bad macro play on BLG's side. I actually love what they did early. They had Zeka teleport in very, very early for the Drake fight. They had the mid lane pushed in. They had the positional advantage onto the Drake fight, and they forced OMG into a very awkward position. But OMG did get a bit lucky here. OMG, of course, Aki 2 levels over Meteor, so he's going to have a much more consistent Smite fight. It was a 4-man plus the Cannon Barrage going on to OMG. They really weren't able to get it. But honestly, as BLG, I felt like they played this about as well as you possibly could in this situation.
Slight mistake there, I feel, from New. He was in Mega Gnar form, had the ultimate available to him, and didn't take the Realm Warp, but oh, OMG. Oh, there's no flash on this Eric right now. He has Cleanse, but it doesn't matter. He's dead. Oh, that's a big blunder. And again, we talk about this. You've got a minion wave in mid lane. Yes, you've got Baron minions in the bot and top lane, but they can push in. They can get an inhibitor. Yeah,
and there's not enough wave clear to defend right here. They're going to have to use their Baron recalls to actually get back to this one. And the Cannon Barrage is still up for Biubiu, so they need to be pretty cognizant of this defense.
Aki.
Like, if they don't position correctly, they could actually just be run down here.
Yeah, Aki throws in the undertow just to show that he's here and to keep everybody honest, and that is a big, big blunder. That's going to completely nullify this Baron buff right now. You can see they had it. They just needed to stay safe. 1-3-1 with the Ryze and the Gnar. They have ways of getting themselves out and keeping themselves safe. And they just fumble the ball. It just doesn't get into their hands. And this is where OMG, this is the criticism I was mentioning. This is where I have question marks over if this team can actually close out a game, because they just have these small little moments of just lapse in judgment, and it really cripples them.
It definitely does. And I'm just surprised by the amount of times they're getting caught out with Dark Passage as a tool. If you're having your mid laner just stand out right there, you could get him away quite easily with that, just the Lantern ability, but we haven't really seen that come out. A lot of times these guys are getting bunched up together. One is not over the wall. So it's just coordination and learning how to play in the 1-3-1 style that I think OMG are definitely lacking in experience, where they should be playing very defensive in their mid lane.
Yep, and that gold lead, despite a Baron being taken here for OMG, is still 3,000 gold. We're still looking at 3 items onto your AD carry, 2.5 items onto your top laner, 2.5 items onto your mid laner, and it's equaling out pretty much everywhere on the board. And this next fight, which I imagine will be in just under 2 minutes around this Drake, should be super even.
It's going to be a very, very close one. I think this game, if I sum it up so far, is OMG had a very good early game. They had strong laning phases, great stuff from Aki coming out, and then BLG slowly clawed back and held their own in most of the late game fights. Like, their constant answer to the 1-3-1 that OMG was trying to do was just force mid. And every time they did it, they either find a kill onto Eric or they forced out important summoners. So they're actually able to drag the game out a lot closer than what their 6-1 start should have indicated.
Yeah, honestly, it's been a slog of a move up a hill for BLG, but they've made it work for them. And you can see with this combination of you can't really get caught out and just, you know, absorb the damage. If you're Eric, you have to flash, you have to cleanse. If you get up people on top of you with the cannon barrage, with the bullet time, it becomes so difficult for you to survive. And now Wuming in the side lane. Zeka is here. The flash burnt immediately onto Zeka. He almost goes down. If he was a little bit closer to the minion wave or to the tower, he might have been taken out. But now OMG, they can push up towards this mid lane. They're going to look to try and take themselves an inhibitor before they turn for that Ocean Soul.
Yeah, great flash away from Wuming. Keeps himself alive and most likely keeps their chances for soul there too. I don't think OMG are going to commit on this one, but they do have to be careful to run away.
Ooh, Aki, but Zeka's here. They have got the Emperor's Divide. If they want to use a TP, has to be used here by Wuming, so he has no summoners. Very, very important to notice, though. Big cooldown there in the cannon barrage. The Drake is spawning in 10 seconds, and it looks like it's BLG who are the ones who are going to have to walk into OMG.
Yeah, and OMG do have very favorable position right here. Gameplank is not a champion that does very well going into terrain that he hasn't been able to set up barrels into. Jwei goes in.
Oh, Solar Flare completely misses, and you can see New off on the backside. He's going to be playing Distract here. They have got him down, but the Dragon is dead. Now, what can BLG do? They're going to look to try and find out this. Eric is ticking down. He almost gets taken down by the bullet time, and you can see OMG, they're running away. They're trying to keep themselves alive. The flash in by Zeka. He's got the Shurima's shoulders. He will fall, but it's all on Aiming. Aiming needs to keep his team and his hopes alive. He's flashing away. It's him versus the world. It's all on Aiming. Can he survive? He goes golden just a little bit, but he will fall. OMG get the Dragon Soul. OMG get 5 kills, and OMG are looking to take this game to a game 3.
And I don't believe it, but OMG have actually made sure that they did not fumble the early game. You know, there was a lot of back and forth. BLG was coming back in time and time again around these team fights. It looked like BLG were going to make the comeback, but OMG put a stop to that one. Eric, really good kiting throughout that entire team fight. He was able to keep himself topped up with those Ocean Drakes. He flashes backward. He gets around the Tri-Brush. When Zeka goes in, he's only able to find his support. And that just means that OMG have the damage to clean that one up. So let's take a look at, again, very favorable position for OMG. Jwei has to go in, but he doesn't find his target, so they settle for New. In the meantime, the Ocean Soul is 100% going to get taken away by OMG. It's just about preserving members right now for OMG. Eric is able to escape, and just watch him as he makes this trek around the bend. He doesn't get tagged up by the slow coming in from Zeka. He's able to stay behind his front line, clean up all the damage, make sure he's healed up, and OMG not only get away with the objectives, they get away with the huge teamfight win.
Want to call out Cold's absolutely crucial hook there onto Zeka. If Zeka doesn't get hooked right there, he survives, he's able to push Eric much further back, they probably lose that fight completely. Now with the Baron buff, now with a 7,000 gold lead, OMG, they're looking to put the final touches on this game. They're looking to try and find the last little bits of engage. They've got 2 minutes left on this Baron. It's going to be very difficult for BLG to clear out these minions as they start to stack up.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to dislodge them for this position right now. And if we look at Aiming, he doesn't have his flash. This Olaf, with his 6-0 and 4 scoreline, is just going to run at the likes of Aiming. At this point, it just feels like BLG don't have enough damage and burst potential to actually dissuade OMG anymore, especially with that Ocean Soul running. It's going to be so difficult.
Aki gets taken down just below half HP, has to pop his Gore Drinker, and of course the Dark Passage. Seems to be sitting on an Elixir of Wrath as well, so the next fight that he finds himself a little bit in, he's going to have a lot more AD to be able to run at people with. And this is where OMG need to end this game. Honestly, I feel like if they go to the Elder Drake, and if they lose that fight, that's where the side of BLG come back into it. But if they can end this game in the next few minutes, before that even becomes an option for the side of BLG, it should be a better one, but I just don't think they can get past these minion waves.
The clean slate known as the Elder Dragon. It's the bane of teams that are actually very far ahead.
The ultimate equalizer.
The reset button in the LPL. We have seen so many teams lose for 35 minutes, take the Elder Drake, and then come back in one wave. So I totally agree with you. Like, the much safer option is actually for OMG to just bum rush onto this BLG composition. They can split them with the split pushing from Ryze, and then just go all in on this bot lane with the minion wave. I definitely feel like that is the safer option for them. However, they do have to pick an opportunity where I feel like Biubiu isn't set up. The only situation that I could see ending up in complete disaster for OMG is if the barrel chain is already set up and you walk into that. Like, that's probably the worst situation, but bar that, you should have a pretty easy time from just chipping these towers down.
Slight update on the items. Jwei has just finished up his Sunfire Aegis, so he's finally got a mythic item, so he's a little bit tankier overall. Still a full item behind
Sunfire?
Cole, too.
What?
Yeah, he went for the Sunfire. I feel like he just wants the DPS. Just wants straight up DPS right now. The Zeke's Convergence along with the Shirelias should be able to keep Aphelios pretty safe and also set up any kind of engage as well. We look down the items pretty much along the board. We can see 5 items, or 4.5 if you don't count boots that highly, for the Misfortune, 4.5 here for the Aphelios. And look at these Elixir of Wrath being picked up here by the side of OMG. They know that if they're going to try and take a fight, they need to try and get as many advantages as possible because the item leads just aren't really there right now.
Yeah, we already see most of the elixirs coming out. They are looking to end this game like we talked about before the Elder Drake actually comes up. Or, you know, if they can't end, they'll still have the potions running during the Elder Drake fight itself. But I just can't wrap my head around Sunfire. I just feel like that's straight trolling. There's no way you take Sunfire on Leona. But it was a
do what I do
support.
and just completely forget about it. Biubiu, though, in a little bit of trouble as everyone realm warps in. He drops down the cannon barrage and the bullet time, but Cole throws out the hook to dissuade it. And that is a perfect pick just before the Elder Drake. Great moves here from OMG, using their mobility, using their globals. They might even need the Elder Drake. They might just go for the win.
Definitely seems like that's what they're going for. New actually misses the jump over the wall, but they still have enough damage to just take this tower outright. BLG running for the hills after this one.
They've got time. The Elder Drake hasn't spawned yet. They don't have to turn onto it, so they're getting even more pressure. You now have super minions in the mid and bot lane. They're going to have those for at least another minute and a half in both sides, and then 5 minutes after that for the other one. But the TP here going into the mid side. BLG, they know they need to go for something. They need to try and just you know, get anything or anyone into this Dragon Pit, but I don't think they can. I think it's just too difficult. That Elder already down to about 3,000, 2,000, 1,000 gone. And now New gonna have his ultimate available once he goes Mega. They do land the Solar Flare onto 2 people, which stops any advances. OMG, they get the Elder, they get the inhibitors. They now have Biubiu back in the respawning.
They're teleporting in.
I feel like it's a little bit...
What?
Yeah, they're going for it. They're gonna try and see for it. New gets a 3-man ultimate. They get the Shrima Shuffle down. He was just trying to get everyone closer to everybody else. They know they have the damage. It's Olaf with the double kill. They're just going to be able to clean up house. BLG will fall to OMG. And Clement, we're going to a game 3.
That was the most stylish finish I've seen from New coming out there. Real swagger showing with his GA running. He's actually just going to teleport straight into the middle of the enemy team composition and just say, you know what? It's time you guys wave the white flags. We're taking this to the full extent of